Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome back to VIOC in Action. This is your boy, Mr. Leon Hunt, better known as Mr. Ras Books, one time for the one time count, cool, count, quench. Once again, Happy New Year's to everybody. Hey, like I tell you guys, man, straight Happy New Year's for everything. Cause I know we've been missing listeners from last week on to the next. But guess what? It's 2020. It's a big year. We're getting ready for Tokyo 2020. Japan, we coming for man, for real. And we're still going on to our current segments as our shows. We're still trying to have our past Olympians on the show so we could actually hear about their experiences of how they got to become a Virgin Island athlete and then to how they got to become an Olympian. So, we done heard from Kylie, we done heard from Tabari, we done heard from Clayton, and of course, every show, we got a good nice show today for man because this one of my boys here, everybody's my boy, but this one here's my boys, and VIOC in Action is the only place where you could get this exclusive interview, because guess what, we all here to talk about our Olympic movement and all our national athletes and updates, and this is the only place you could get it from, you check? So look, today, we got a hey, this is my boy here, so, this show here gonna be turned up for everybody across the territory. My boy, Coach Durant, what's up, man? Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what you saying, man? Everything good?
I can't complain, other than dealing with the cold up here, but yeah, everything's good.
Well,
I got to spend the holiday season on St. Croix.
That's true.
I got to warm up and charge up a little bit so we could take on this season.
Yeah, I know. It's I was over there for St. Croix Festival, St. Croix Carnival, so everybody will know. They might try to lash me last week talking about it's called a festival, it's not called Carnival. Look, it's Carnival time. It was in St. Croix. It was a great time and it was nice. It was raining a little bit, but the sun was out, so we were good. Everything was safe.
Exactly.
So let me see, Coach Durant. Let me see. Hey guys, this is Coach Durant up there in Cornell, Ithacola. I'm gonna call it Ithacola Cup, the cold boy. Look, man, I remember spending that time up there. Probably about 4 years now, and it was like negative 10s and 13s, just automatically like late nights, and I was like, man, what in the world am I doing? Training up here for track and field in the middle of nowhere in the cold.
Yeah, if you used to be completely bundled up, you could only see your eyes.
Yeah, man. Hey, guys, let me tell you, when you in the middle of the mountain and it's cold, and all you have to do is you literally just wake up, it's freezing, you go to practice, it's cold up that whole mountain there, then you just train, and you come back again in the evening. But all you got to do is train. I had to put myself in that particular environment for the particular goal I wanted, and that particular year, we was going after Pan Am Games, which was 2015. But we won't get to that a little bit later on in the show because we ain't here to talk about we here to talk about my boy, Coach Durant. So, Coach Durant, for the listeners out there who don't know who you are, well, who are you? Where you from? And how did you get into track and field?
Wow, that's a long story. How did I get into track and field? Well, I started running track back in second grade. I went to St. Mary's on St. Croix. So I was born and raised on St. Croix in Christiansted.
All right.
And I went to St. Mary's. I ran track there from, second grade until I graduated from there. I ran with Coach Charles Golfin.
Okay.
In the House and Fox Track Club. So that was really my first experience with sports in general at St. Mary's School. Ran track, played soccer, all those different things, and just coming up, I participated in all the the local competitions, ran in the children's race and all that stuff, and then eventually when we had youth games, I ran in that, and then as I got older, I represented the VI in the Central American and Caribbean Games, the Pan American Games, and eventually the 2004 Olympics in Athens. So really just been.
So you say it so nice and clear, like, hey guys, look, man, all you gotta do is run. You just run all the games, and then you just end up in no. Okay, all right. So you known as the running man, like literally. I remember seeing an article. I don't know what. I think it's when you went to the games in Dominican Republic. You had an article down there in Harvey's restaurant. It said the running man. So you literally is known as the running man, and back then, you young face, man, I think he was like, those games, you may have just been maybe 18, maybe 18 or 19. So, and I remember seeing it. And all right, guys, so if you go back to Harvey's in Christiansted, right? When you open up the first door on the left, it's gonna be an article, a full page article right there with Coach Durant. He got a picture of him sitting down in a chair and he holding up some medals. So if you want to know in St. Croix, you could go there, or when you're over here in St. Thomas, you could go to the windmill. When you get in there, you look to the right. It's a guy up there that's running. He's actually the only guy on that wall right on the right-hand side. He's about maybe 5 pitches up from the table. That's the guy we talking about right there. All right, so you got the locations where you at. So you known as the running man, coming all the way through elementary school. So like, is it and playing soccer? So did you wanted to run, or just like, or you were just a sports guy at the time, like you were just doing as told?
Nah, I was just a kid at the time I was just a kid with a lot of energy, and making my mother crazy because just running around, jumping off of stuff, just a lot of energy. So they figured that the best solution was just to put me in every sport that they could. So they put me in everything: martial arts, track and field, basketball, flag football. And at the time when I was married, we had all those sports. We used to have recess, we had gym, we had after school programs, so you could just do everything. So I did a lot of sports, and track and field was the one that I just happened to be pretty good at. I wasn't good at basketball. I wasn't really good at flag football. I was fast, but I wasn't really good at it. And track was the one that I really started excelling in and winning a lot of medals and ribbons when I was younger on, which, at that point when you start winning, it gives you encouragement to want to keep going. So when I was younger, one of the goals I had was to run in the Olympics, and so it just really started from there.
Nah, that's cool. So parents out there, as you can see, if you got a young youth that like to run around, I think you should put him in a sports camp. You never know what's gonna happen out the whole deal. He might not like a particular one of the individuals, but he or she will find a discipline that you may like. And you can always try going on to the Olympic Committee for all our different disciplines. And I'm sure we got something going on in each particular sport that we offer here. So it's cool. So if not, you guys can hit me up at the end of the show, and I'll be sure to get that to you guys. So
that's a good point you make, because I was a kid who had a lot of energy. I talked a lot, and I could be distracted in school and whatnot. And so it's like, why is this kid just causing a problem in school when actually it's just I had a lot of energy. So once you put me in the sports, that kind of dealt with that issue. I would just pass out after school. It pushed that focus, that energy
someplace else, right?
Another thing that my mother made sure of is that I never missed a track practice. So once I started running track, it was practice every day, consistent. I never missed it, and she made a sacrifice to make sure that happened.
You see that? So the guy was in there from the get-go. He wanted to get better. Practice make perfect. He was there doing a display. He wasn't bothering nobody, harassing people in classroom or anything, because the man know he had to go ahead and do the track, which is cool. And even when you're in the track, so at the time, how was track and field at the time? Because this was a whole different time for me. So how was your other teammates? Was it so back then? Was a lot of members like it is now, or like how was it? Do you remember how your track team was?
When I was coming up, I feel like there was a lot of track competitions, a lot of stuff going on. I don't know how many track meets they have on St. Croix right now, or in the territory right now, but when I was coming up, there was a lot of interscholastic stuff, so we used to compete against other schools all the time, and that was great. And then at some point, we had the bigger competitions like the youth games that we hosted on St. Croix and things like that. And we used to travel a lot. We used to go to the BVI, and we used to go to different places and run trackies a lot. So it just seemed like when I was coming up, it was a lot of opportunities to race and get better, and that's how I started traveling. And I love traveling now, because just as a kid going over to the BVI and these different places to run competitions, it just gives you something to focus on.
So as you say traveling, when you went to university, which growing up in the Virgin Islands and going to the mainland is always a big change from athletes here because, you know, they're the best in the territory, in the region, and then they get to the States, to the university, and some people don't know how to take that. So how did you take that once you left the island and went to university? What school you went to again?
Well, first, before even college, I went to high school in New Jersey.
Okay, so even better. So now you have one of the scenarios that happen here to many athletes, especially right now today, between the ages of 14 to 18, they end up leaving the islands and then they go into the mainland to go to high school. And a lot of them transition well, a lot of them don't. So how did your experience go in transitioning?
So it was hard because I left St. Croix after I finished St. Mary's after 8th grade, and I probably at the time was, you know, the fastest 8th grader on St. Croix for sure. Because I just, you know, every competition they had, I was winning all of them. That's why I had articles and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I moved to New Jersey to live with some family because, you know, it was just more opportunities in New Jersey. You know, you have hundreds of schools and track meets every weekend. So,
but see, but that's one of the issues that we actually have here is that because the parents and the kids are leaving the islands, the territory, and then they're going abroad because we don't have those opportunities, or if we do, we don't know about them. So that is an issue, and that's currently what's happening then, and it's happening now. I'm listening.
Well, I mean, you can get close. You can't have the same opportunities that would be available in the States. If I'm in New Jersey, it's just too many. You know, we have indoor tracks, there's teams, it's just competitions, 3-4 track meets a week. You know, you're just gonna get that with how many people is there. But I do think in the VI we could have, you know, some more consistent competitions because that's really what it takes to get to the next level. So when I moved to New Jersey, there's a couple things. When I was in St. Croix, I probably was the fastest 8th grader. When you move, you're a regular person at that point. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be the fastest, you have to now work at a different level. It makes you either grow or just, like, it's either going to make or break you. So you're either going to realize that, hey, I really want to be good at this and I have to get better. Mm-hmm. Or you just be like, it's not really my thing. I'm going to move on to something else, right? Like, correct. One or the other. So for me, I had that goal on St. Croix. I have an old daily news article. It's like me saying I want to run an Olympics. So that was my goal from when I'm, 10 years old.
Right, you done stated it, right.
Now that I'm in Jersey, that's the goal. So, when I move up there, I move to a big high school, and I'm by myself. I don't know anybody. I'm in this school. So it's a tough process. Mm-hmm. Not only just, adjusting to the weather, wintertime and cold and all that stuff, but adjusting to just being in a new environment and then trying to be good at sports when nobody knows who you are, when you're trying to, make a name for yourself. And so it was a tough thing, but, I just kept working hard, going to track practice, working hard, and I stuck to my goal. And eventually, I was the fastest person in the school, and then the fastest person in North New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in that high school Hall of Fame. See there? So it was it was not easy. It's never easy. Right. I don't know what is. And when I left high school, I went to college in South Carolina. So I moved down to South Carolina. From the north to the south. Mm-hmm. From the north to the south. By myself. I don't know anything about South Carolina. I just moved there. And at the time, South Carolina had one of the best college track teams in the country. The women won the national championship, and the men were like one of the top teams. Mm-hmm. And I had run pretty fast, but not fast enough to earn a scholarship or anything like that. So, but I wanted to be on a really good team, one of the best teams. So I walked on. I don't know if folks know what a walk-on is, but I just joined. I got into school. I joined the team with no scholarship, took out a bunch of loans, and I had enough money for 1 year. Okay. So it's like, okay, either I got to earn a scholarship or I'm going back home. Okay, and so wait there. So you gotta people so they can understand is that so you may not be able to get recruited from a school, but you could still attend the school. And then by being walking on, he had an opportunity to try out. Because there's other sports in the school too as well that some people may not want to run track or play basketball or football. They do have tryouts. And that's the time where you could actually go and get seen from the coaches just like any other place. But you don't
necessarily have to need a scholarship to go to that school to be able to be on the team. You could go on as a walk-on, just as Coach Durant did. All right, go ahead.
Exactly, and I'm gonna go into the recruiting process because that's really information that I wanna share. But so I walked onto this team, and these guys were some of the best people in the country, some of the best coming out of high school, All-Americans, just nationally ranked. And I was a walk-on. I didn't have any stats, but I worked hard and I had my goal. And so by the end of my freshman year in college, I was a conference champion on the 4x4 and an All-American. And so I earned a full scholarship. They had to give me a full scholarship because if they didn't, other schools wanted me.
Right.
They were sending Houston and Seton Hall and a bunch of other schools like, hey, this guy is fast. He's one of the top freshmen in the country. He's not on scholarship. We want him. So I made myself, valuable.
So that's an interesting story. You know why? So I spoke to Tabari some shows ago, right? And Tabari was the top 400-meter runner in his senior year in his region in Florida. But because he ran what he ran so late, Tabari ended up didn't get no scholarship. Period.
Yeah.
Which is how he ended up at Barton. And I never knew the situation of how him going into school, but just listening to your story as well so he didn't get a scholarship to go to school. Being the top runner, but you had to walk on first on your freshman year, Cinderella story from the bottom to the top, and now everybody's like, oh yeah, well shoot, we want this kid to come over here now. You know what I mean? So that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
And I mean, I ran a lot faster. I mean, leaving high school, I could run 11 flat in the 100 meters, and I ran 10.3 my freshman year in college. So that's a big drop. That's going from average to national caliber.
Yeah, that's being a young man to a man, literally.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
22 to 20 point. Just all my times dropped, so I was able to earn my scholarship. But like you mentioned, in Spar's case, there's a lot of paths to get to the destination. It's not always going to be clean, but if you have a goal and you stick to it, you can get to that destination. His was a different route than mine, but we both ended up in the same place. He went, graduated, got his degree, now he's coaching. And
he also told me how you guys was at Tyson Invitation, and you seen him there, and you was like, hey, you from the Virgin Islands? And he was like, yeah, my parents they're from St. Thomas. And then because you seen him with a piece of jewelry. And that's so interesting. You seen a piece of jewelry, which was a Gucci link. And he was like, yeah, my family from there. And if you never would have met him that day, we would have probably never had at least the first couple of years that he had within the story that he told us, because you would have never exist. But because he was at that meet, this was post-grad, of course, that's how you guys met. So we spoke about that on a couple of shows ago. So that's why I wanted just to confirm it, because people like to say stuff, but that man could unchuch, so I just had to confirm the information. So listeners, it's a true story.
I'm always keeping an eye out for people from the VI in the States, when I'm at a track meet to get them to join the national team. We have a lot of fast people all over the place, but they don't they just don't know the process. They don't know that, they can be representing their country on the world stage.
Right, but we could definitely get into that part. As you finish up your quote unquote sophomore year, you're on scholarship now at South Carolina. Then you went through from sophomore year to senior year, and you achieved some goals in there as well. You was able, I think you did, well, you ran your fastest times in NCs. Then you definitely got I think you was part of the 4x1 team. You made yourself on the 4x1 team. You got yourself to there. And I don't remember all the accolades, but tell me about the finishing part of your collegiate year.
Well, I mean, I was an All-American, ran on the 4x4, and always was a scorer at the conference championship, the SEC championship. And my freshman year, we actually won the 4x4, so I was an SEC champion there. But towards the end of my collegiate career, I ended up with a lot of injuries. So it's like, it's not always, like I was saying before, the stuff ebbs and flows, right? So I hit my goal. I was on full scholarship, and I never thought in college that I got to my full potential, because I ended up with these hamstring injuries, which I overcome to an extent because I did have a professional career after college. When I left South Carolina, I moved to Virginia, and that's where I was training as a pro.
What year did you finish college?
2006.
All right, guys. So 2006, the man finished there, which would have been 2 years after. Let me see. Wait, Olympics 2004. Where was that at? Where was that? Was somewhere.
That was in Athens, Greece.
Okay, so you know what? Right after this commercial break, we're gonna come back into 2004. Then we're gonna advance straight to, and we're listening to VIOC Action with my boy over here, Coach Durant. The man straight from Cruise Land telling us all the information that we need to know. The man on the road, literally going on to the tingo for the tingo. Right back in VIOC Action. Hey, welcome back to VIOC Action. We're here sitting down with Coach Durant, the man telling us all the information that we need to know. At least literally how his story was, how he became Olympian and how he came from the Voice in the territory, and how his situations were, because, we all got unique, different roads and paths. But we all usually end up right there at the end of the goal, because the guy had his goal down. I think he said he was 10 years old. Man said 10 years old in the article, had his goal down. And next thing you know, 10 years after, the man in Olympics. So if you write it down, chances are you definitely could do it. At least you have something to work towards. But hey, you ain't got to hear from me. You can hear from the man, Coach Durant himself, Mr. Durant.
Yes, sir.
So here, 2004. Was a unique year. And not because, I can't hardly remember what happened in 2004, but I know you do, because that's the year that the Olympics was in Athens, Greece. And we all know the first Olympics was in Greece. So it's kind of good. Well, it's a good story because, one, that's when it actually returned back to, I guess you could call it the motherland or however you want it. But they brought back the Olympics home, and you had a chance to experience that. But before you got to experience that, how did you even qualify for 2004 Olympics?
Well, so at that point, I was a sophomore at South Carolina. I had run fast already. And at the time, the qualification standard, it was a little different. Now it's just an A standard, but before they had a B standard. So, I was able to hit the standard and represent the BI in the 100 meters out there. And it was, that was my dream. It was at the home of the Olympics, Athens. It was exciting. But now that I look back at it, I realized that, I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so let's start. When you knew the standards to go into the 04 Olympics, that same year going to a sophomore, did you know that same year you was like, okay, I going to qualify? Like, your plans was to qualify for Olympics that year?
My plan was to qualify, yes. So my whole mindset was I need to run fast this year and qualify, make it to the Olympics. And
this your first year on scholarship being at South Carolina too, because it's your sophomore year. So going
yeah,
you got your scholarship, you got sophomore year, you did indoors, you could qualify outdoors. This is your outdoor time now. After spring, we're talking about April time. You got about next 8 weeks to qualify.
Yeah. And I ran fast indoor that year. I ran, I think I made the nationals in the 60 meters.
Mm-hmm.
So in indoor track, it's kind of hard because you have to be top 16 in the country. So,
right.
So I had a pretty good 60. So I was already on the right track by the time I was going into the outdoor season.
And so when you did find out when you qualify, wait, so who told you was qualifying anyway? Like, did you just already contact the national team, or you just was like?
At the time, I was still in contact with one of the national team coaches, Charles Dolphin,
okay.
And also with Wallace Williams, the General Secretary of the Track and Field Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should know Wallace at this point.
Right.
And so, Wallace has known me since I was a little kid running in the children's race. And so he just had been, informing me about the process, and I had been keeping in contact with him and whatnot, updating him on my performances. And then, so once we got within the qualifying period and I was able to, get within the B standard and qualify, he had everything set up. So that was part of the Olympic contingent.
So when So going in after NCs for outdoor season the same year, and now preparing for summer because this got summer track onto Olympics. When you came back home with Charles Goffin or whatever, how you guys train, how was the entry to Greece at the time? So when August came, when you got to Greece, tell us about that experience.
Well, I mean, it's hard to describe something that big. You're just trying to take it all in. You know, usually when you go to something as big as Olympics, you come in and it's pretty well organized. You know, you get off the plane, they have folks waiting for you there to kind of get you through the credentialing process, because you can't do anything without this credential that you have to hang from your neck.
Correct.
Your ID badge. Everyone has to have it to get entry to the Olympic Village and all that stuff. So that's the first part. So they just get you going through that and shuttling you to the Olympic Village. And it you know, usually something that big, it's a big check-in process, because you gotta go through security and all that stuff. But once you're in the village, it's an exciting thing. You know, you're seeing the best athletes on the planet. They're there. You know, you might walk by and see, you know, some NBA player who represents their country, if they're not from the U.S., wherever they're from. You know, so it's just really an amazing experience. It's pretty, you know, it's hard to, it hits you pretty fast. But remember, you know, for me at least, and I was younger, but my mindset was that I was trying to go there and run fast and you know, make it to the finals and do all of that. That's still my, at that time, that's my goal.
Your goal.
So I'm really not trying to, at that point, I'm not trying to get caught up too much in the celebrity and all of that stuff, you know, to being starstruck.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the training and do ice baths and do massages so that I can run fast. And I got in a little bit of trouble because, like I said, I was a young guy, and in my head, I'm like, hey, I'm here to run. That's what I'm here. This is business. And so I was told that the opening ceremony would be, you know, like 12 hours, 15 hours, and you have to walk all day long.
Yep.
So for me, that sounded like a terrible idea.
It sounds like you had a lot of energy comparing to when, you remember what you said when you was a young kid, man, you had all the energy. So what, you just slept in or something? Like, what happened? You couldn't stay up?
No. It's just, I didn't think it made sense to be on my feet for 15, 20 hours a day or two before I had to run at the biggest, most important race in my life.
Okay.
So for me, it was an easy decision. I was like, I'm not walking in the opening ceremony. And as a younger guy, I didn't really understand what the opening ceremony was. Okay. And so I didn't walk in it, and I had a lot of upset people in my family. Everybody was upset with me because I didn't run in the opening ceremony. And so I'm lucky enough that I got to go to the Olympics again later on as a coach. And I really, you know, was able to appreciate being in the opening closing ceremony. Yeah. And also,
go ahead.
And at the time, you know, when you're a young guy in the Olympics, you're like, oh, I'll walk in opening ceremony next time. Not realizing that it's probably never going to be another time.
Right. Because that's one of the things about being Olympian is that I ask everybody is when you walk through the stadium and seeing those thousands of people there and feeling the energy, and when they say Virgin Island, and then they come through and you like, all right, you got to, you know, somebody holding the flag, and then you got the signs up and you got your delegation there and everybody waving. But I mean, this, yes, it's on TV and it's not overrated because you there representing a country. So you there at the biggest event in the whole world and you representing your country with a wave, and you're showing everybody like, hey, we are a product of the Virgin Islands, and here we are in our unique colors, because, you know, every country got some unique suits or different Hawaiian shirts or whatever the case may be. And we're there, and you might only have like 60 seconds or 2 minutes, but that's a long time in TV time.
So that's why I'm thankful that I got to go again to the Olympics in 2016, because I got to walk in the opening ceremony with the VI team, and it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable experience. It's nothing like it. The energy, it's the house, the people, the stadium is alive, and they call out your country, and, you know, it's amazing. It's nothing like it. hard to describe.
All right, so you missed out on the first one. You got the next 3 afterwards. So do you now, what would you tell people now, given the chance that everybody, so now this is 2 things, like you said, you're athlete, you don't need to be standing on your feet, which is one, that's a good, that's legitimate.
It is.
But also, it's the other moment, like, if you are ready, so what's your take on it now to other athletes that's coming up? I mean, we got Olympics this year, 2020. What's your your defense on it now, or your point of view now? If an athlete say, hey, coach, man, look, I got to run tomorrow, or maybe next week, I don't know, because, the opening ceremony, you still got a whole 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks worth of events. So what's your take on it now, as we go into 2020?
My take on it now is that it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience that very few people on this planet get to live through. And so if you're lucky enough, blessed enough to be able to be in an Olympic opening ceremony, then you probably need to participate in it.
All right, Dave. And you know what, too? Honestly, it's not even that bad, because after you don't wait for the X 4 hours, because it is about 4 or 5 hours wait, once you get through and they call your name and you go sit down, you could leave. Well, I mean, you could set up an arrangement with your delegation that, okay, you could go back to the hotel. So the whole 12, I mean, you're right. I'm not going to lie. It is a long time to wait. But after you done see the camera and wave, you could go right back out. You get a cab or your delegation set up something with your attaché with the driver. And cool, you go back, you have dinner, and boom, you get ice bath or whatever, and you go to sleep. There it is.
Exactly.
Massage. But here's the good part. You get to see yourself the next day on YouTube and say, okay, hey man, look, you can fast forward it all the way to Virgin Island, and you're like, look, you're like, yeah. You know what I mean? So, all right, got it. There was. So how was your competition? Since you decided to sleep all the whole time, when you got to competition, like, how was that?
Oh, I choked up. I didn't run fast at all.
Right, but not even necessarily running fast, but just okay. So you went in the semis. So wait, cause you got to go through rounds. So your time came to go through the rounds, and
first round of the 100 meters, and I just didn't run my best.
Okay, so what would you tell somebody now that even, I mean, that's the biggest meet in the world is the Olympics, but somebody to a regular track meet, So it's track season now, we're indoor. Kids have their competition coming up. So what would you tell a kid now going into even this first meet or even championship or whatever it may be? Like, go ahead.
Well, I have a different perspective now because I'm a coach.
Right, so that's why I'm asking you now, right? That's why I'm asking you now comparing to back then. So what would you tell somebody now?
Well, I coach at Olympian now, and so for me, it's about mental preparation. So that's something that you have to start working on way before you get to something that big. Making sure you're actually mentally prepared to compete. So I was physically prepared to compete, but mentally I had not gone through my race plan. I had not done enough visualization and kind of setting it up, and I didn't have enough confidence to execute my race properly. So, that's something that a coach and athlete have to work on together.
Okay, the preparation. So here on out. So coaches out there, you had a good tip. Don't wait till the biggest event or the championship to start doing new things. Like, go in there and do this. They're like, nah, you work on this stuff way.
You're in a stadium with 100,000 people, lights everywhere, your name, the camera in your face. If you're not used to a big TV camera in your face when they're announcing your name and then putting you on the screen with your best time and your country, if you're not used to that, well, it could be a shock to the system.
The good thing about the kids them now, I'm calling them kids because everybody done them kids, is that everybody got a social media and they used to selfies, so everybody used to seeing themselves, so they shouldn't have a problem with that right now in this age. But it's a little different in real life, though. Yeah, it is, cause your nerves them going and you like, oh man, your adrenaline going, you like, oh shucks.
It's a lot of people in the stadium.
It is. And I always tell people, they be like, yo, all those people in there, can you hear people? I always say yes and no. You could hear the noise, but sometimes it just like, it's no noise. And they be like, how is no noise? And everybody, I'm like, man, you in a zone and you just don't hear things sometimes. Sometimes you don't even hear your coach telling you something. You're like, yeah. All right, cool. All right, gotcha. And it's like, man, I don't know what he just said, but all right, cool, man. I'm going to just go ahead and do what I do. You know what I mean? After your competition, when your race didn't go as you planned, how did you deal with that? So then that way people know how to deal with when things don't go to their plan, what things don't go as they plan. How would you give us some tips on that?
Well, I mean, personally, I just spent a couple of days being disappointed and being upset about it. And then after that, it's just reassessing and deciding where to move on from there. I personally don't spend too much time, dwelling on the past and on failure or even a success. I kind of try to recollect and have a new plan, a new strategy, and figure out where I'm going forward. So everyone kind of deals with disappointment in their own way, but I think it's healthy to learn how to move on. And every experience is a learning experience. So,
Yes.
I learned a lot from running at the Olympian.
No.
It's more, and I learned a lot more. It's not just about sports. I learned a lot about just life in general. So
right, how to deal with that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's an invaluable experience. So I think dealing with disappointment is a part of life.
That's true. And I glad that you said it, because even a lot of kids here, because, we really on the island, like after here, it's a lot of number ones on the island. And these number ones don't lose a lot.
Here's what I say.
Huh?
Here's what I say as being a coach. Here's what I say being a college coach. And what I see as being an issue, especially this day and age. Parents typically want their kids to be successful. So I think things are being skewed so that everybody wins. And so when you always win, when everybody gets a ribbon and everyone wins and everyone's successful, I think, I understand where there's positivity in that for the person's, I guess, ego, making them feel good. But when you don't learn how to deal with failure, and, if you don't lose and learn how to handle that feeling and bounce back, well, in life, you're going to be faced with it at some point. So if you don't learn how to deal with it when you're a kid, then you're learning when you're an adult, and that's worse. So if I'm a college coach and I'm dealing with somebody who just, their whole life they've been the best at something, and they come to college and they lose their first race, it's a lot more dramatic of an effect than if they had faced some difficulties earlier on.
Okay, so on the flip side of that, what if you've been faced with somebody who just always won, like he or she always win, and they never got a chance to face that? I mean, we both moving on is later on, all through high school to university, and then they got a chance to go to professional and then finally lose. Like, what's your take on that point?
I've never encountered somebody who always won. I don't know if a person like that really even exists, and if they do, it's just up to a point, because they're going to lose at some point. It's just every champion, everybody who's the best at anything has failed, has lost. That's what I'm saying. You have to fail at some point, because that's how you learn and grow and get better. Even if you lift weights, you lift until what? Muscle failure, right?
Correct.
Because then you're going to come back stronger the next time. But when you're running a workout, sometimes you run till you just can't run anymore, till your body fails. So this is how you grow and develop. So, if you fail an exam, you go back and study the stuff that you thought you understood. Right?
That's true.
So it's hard to be a world-class athlete without failing. Even Usain Bolt, he lost plenty of races.
Correct. Yeah.
And then he became untouchable.
So we over here in the territory do have to understanding how to lose and what to do after losing. Because as you know, like I said, we are in the territory. It's a lot of number ones here. But as you go on to the mainland, across the world, international, you become a number. And then you got to build up just the same way as you did. same story, same formula works over the whole course of time, and that's just how it is. So they definitely got to learn some.
You have to.
They got to learn it. If not, tough luck. You know what I mean? They gotta get tough luck to check.
I'll tell you one thing. When I left St. Croix to go to New Jersey, I took a risk. It was a risk that I would go out there and fail.
Mm-hmm.
And the same risk that I took when I moved to college in South Carolina.
Right.
The same risk that I took when I decided to be a pro athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And the same one when I went to start volunteer coaching. This is, that's just part of the game.
Hey, there it is. And hey, I gonna take it from you, cause the man know what he's saying. The man know what's going on. And listeners out there, the man they hear now. I don't tell. The man is known as the running man. Check out the man. A big article over there. So in Harvey's restaurant in Christian Stadium. No, oh, go over there to Windmill. He's there. The information is there. He's telling you guys here today, and that's how the thing go. But guess what? We are telling you guys. We'll be right back again with another commercial break, and we're talking to Mr. Coach Durant, the running man of the Virgin Islands. And I thought my name was the running man. It's cool. We'll be right back. Hey, happy